Hello everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MT Predictor software program. In today's MT Predictor video, I'd like to have a look at another great example of our W3 or Wave 3 trade setup, this time unfolding on a 15-minute chart of the Bank Nifty over there in India. But as usual, we have to look at our risk disclaimer. Just remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades are actually taken, they're just shown for illustration and trading purposes only. Remind you there's a risk of loss in trading and investing. Put another way, all professional traders know and understand, but more importantly accept that losses can and will and do unfold. We'll actually be looking at a losing trade in the video as well. Right, onto the chart. So this is the 15-minute chart of the Bank Nifty, and the setup I particularly want to look at here was this TS4 W3 trade setup that unfolded yesterday and carried on through today on a 15-minute chart. There's also a lovely VS buy setup here as well. MTP trend is blue, therefore you would not want to be looking to try and take the sell setup, you'll be looking to take long trade setups. As usual, we look to a higher time frame chart to start with. So if you're trading on a 15-minute chart, you'd go out to a 60-minute chart. And as usual, we'd place our DPs on our chart in advance. So I just want to scroll the chart back a bit and go back to a previous low here. Can you see this? This low here. I'll right mouse click, do decision point. Let's have a look what the market did. If I scroll forward, can you see how it came down into major support here on the 60-minute chart, started to rally up. If I then place the DP off this last pivot high here, can you see how this would be where your target is? And that's effectively what the market did. It went from this DP support zone up into the higher time frame here. But let's have a look at how this now means on your 15-minute chart. Well, first and foremost, if you go back a few more days, can you see how there was actually a VS buy setup on the 15-minute chart at the higher time frame 60-minute chart? So if I right mouse click over the blue buy bar to analysis, you can see there would have actually been a long trade all the way up into there for a lovely 6.6R profit anyway. So that would have been an absolutely beautiful trade all the way up there as well. But if you missed that, there was a second opportunity to get long, and perhaps you might have used that to pyramid or add positions, and that would have been here. First, I want to look at this little history triangle. Do you see this here? There's a little history triangle here. What that means is there was a trade set up at that bar at the time. So if I right mouse click here, do analysis, place the analysis on, you can see there would have been a valid buy setup here. If I scroll forward, that would have actually been taken in and then stopped out. This is what I meant when I said at the start of the video, is that losses can and will and do unfold. But we use position sizing. In this case, risking less than 2% of a sample 670,000 rupee account, and you can change that and do whatever size account you wish and whatever risk profile you wish in our NinjaTrader add-ons. That's the subject of another video, but you can just define what risk you want to take. So that would have been a losing trade or a 1R loss. Remember, losses can and will and do unfold. We then got another trade set up here. Right mouse click, do analysis, and if I scroll forward, can you see this is what, I'll just take that off the chart to avoid confusion, and can you see this is what the market then did absolutely perfectly. It rallied up into the typical Wave 3 WPT where we had a nice profit, but the profit wasn't just large in Indian rupees, it was large in relation to the initial risk, because here can you see the risk reward was plus 4.9. Can I call that 5 for easy maths? So if we call it 5, this profit was 5 times the initial risk, or was 5 times greater than the loss before. And that's what we try and do with MT Predictor. We try to have trades where the profits are large in relation to the initial risk, which are small. Remember what a W3 trade setup is. If I right mouse click here and do Elliott Wave Major, what we're looking for is a Wave 1, a Wave 2 and a Wave 3. This Wave 3 here to subdivide into a minor ABC correction, which it did there, and that all started with the sequence coming in at higher time frame support here. So a very good example of our MT Predictor W3 trade setup, where we look to the higher time frame support and resistance areas. Remember, these on the chart in advance to start with, and that's where we start our sequence. Remember, the general principle of MT Predictor, in that we don't believe that markets can be traded all the time, because markets are cyclical. They go through periods when the markets are unclear and basically random. So what we're looking for is when the market pattern becomes clear, and for this we use the higher time frame support and resistance areas, our DP zones, to see when the market makes a meaningful reversal at these higher time frame support and resistance zones. In Elliott wave terms, this is why I've developed my unique isolation approach to Elliott wave. So what we do is we effectively start the sequence here. In other words, this is when the market is coming out of what would have been a random phase. You don't know what's going on. Came down here into higher time frame support. We start the sequence. Therefore, we're looking for the initial rally to be wave 1, the initial correction to be wave 2. We're then looking for a wave 3 swing. And that's what our W3 trade setup is designed to take. Remember, because of the cyclical nature of trading, we don't then look for a wave 4 correction, then a wave 5 rally, because the market may well go into its random phase, and that may well break down. That's why most people can't trade Elliott wave, is because they try and forecast all the time. All we're doing is like a snapshot. In other words, we're looking in isolation to look for a tradable setup. And this tradable setup here is after we get major or higher time frame support and resistance, initial rally wave 1, ABC correction into a wave 2. We're then looking for a strong wave 3 to unfold, which is exactly what it did in this case, and that's why we've nicknamed this our W3 trade setup. And as you can see the result here, even though we had a losing trade earlier, that loss was kept small. This trade here was a very, very nice profitable trade, where the profit was plus 4.9R, or almost 5 times the initial risk. So a great example of our W3 or wave 3 trade setup that's literally just completed on our a 15-minute chart of the Bank Nifty.